seen the difference and it's getting better all the time. There's nothing you and I won't do.
We'd had COVID, hadn't we, in the middle of that? I mean, the last album was 2017, Taken to the Trees. And then we kind of were working really hard all over the world playing concerts, except, of course, down in Colombia. It's where we haven't been yet. We'd like to go there, though. And yeah, so then we started writing the album around about 2019 when COVID happened. So we didn't really have any time off. We were just working, touring, stuff like that.
We'd already started writing. We never stopped writing. It's just that our process of selecting what songs to work on, they change sometimes from time to time. But we'd already had two songs, Long in the Tooth and Not My Leader, which we'd began to work on 1, 2, 3, 4 with. But as you were saying, you know, as we said, COVID happened, and suddenly we had to we couldn't work together in the same room to start off with. So me and Robbie were recording on our own systems at home, or I have a studio in England, and so we had to transfer files to each other of how the songs were going. But there was, after a period of time, the government allowed people to 3 people, and then eventually 4, to work together in the same room. So that was when Gary came, our guitar player, and we pretty much had, you know, a lot of the songs were already kind of structured, but we knew what kind of sound we wanted Gary to make, and you know, that's the kind of the sound that Gary is quite, you know, in our world, he's quite famous at, you know, kind of crazy distortion and making his guitar sound like any instrument except a guitar.
Yeah, lots of flanges and phases and chorus pedals and you name it.
So that when we were almost kind of like pretty much considered all of the demos to be in a good shape, then we contacted this producer called Mario McNulty, who lives in New York, and we basically agreed with him that we wanted the album to sound like a live recording, you know, like a band in the same room. And it had that kind of, I mean, basically there was a massive nod to early modern English and where we came from before, you know, we even had a record deal, you know, like bands like Susie and the Banshees, and, you know, the general, you know, what post-punk bands were doing and what we were doing.
We wanted it to be a live sounding album, so you get that sort of shift from the verse to the chorus with a live drummer rather than Pro Tools and, you know, everything's squeezed together. What's radio stuff, basically. We didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it's, I mean, basically it's like the album, there's, you know, most of the songs are like the first or third or second take, you know, so it was like that performance sounded better than the second one, or the third one was actually the best one that we went with. You know, it was it worked out, but again, even with you know, by the time we got to this stage, COVID happened again, and we had to postpone the recording of the album for something like another 9 months.
Yeah.
Finally, we got together in upstate New York, and over, I think, about 2 weeks.
Yeah, we
did the whole album in about 2 weeks.
Which is the same as the Mesh and Mace album, the first album. We recorded that in 2 weeks as well. Well, the kind of live feel to it, really, more than anything. The energy on the record, the energy that it's got is probably the biggest thing. Because when we play live, which we hope to do in Colombia one day, you know, when we play live, it's all about the energy on stage, you know. So we tried to capture that on the record.
is it on the Take Me to the Trees? The process of recording that album is completely different. We had a guy called Martin Young producing the record, and that was done in my studio. So but basically, we had all the time in the world, and I think we spent too much time, nitpicking and redoing stuff.
Listening to bass drums for like a week.
Yeah, and then hi-hats for another 2 weeks. Whereas with this record, one of the good things about Mario is that he listens to the song as a whole, as a performance. Whereas before, sometimes we might kind of go back and obsess over guitar parts that only lasts 20 seconds. And with Mario, he said, just let the song flow, let it flow, basically.
We leave that all to our manager.
But I mean, I'm a music fan. I always have been. It's when Spotify first came out, 16 years ago, musicians were sent special invitations to join Spotify before the public, and it was even then it was something that was quite scary. It was like you could listen to any music on this platform, and what they did was they got musicians and people in the music industry talking about Spotify before the public even knew about it. And so basically it killed off for a period of time vinyl, CDs, record players. I mean, I've been to radio stations, and people at the radio station will play a song and they'll play it from Spotify. They don't even have to have cassettes, records, or anything. So it's it's a massive changing technology. But there are still diehards who prefer to listen to their music on vinyl, which is good. I mean, the record they call it the record. Making a new record, and we do still have more fun, I think, working on our album artwork as well. It's still a major part of modern English, is where the design comes from. It's like originally there's a guy called Vaughan Oliver, who was a famous record sleeve designer. He did the Pixies, Cocteau Twins, everything on 4AD. But he died about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and it was amazing to see how incredibly famous and well respected Vaughan Oliver was around the world, purely for his artwork that he makes for record sleeves. With this here, a telephone.
Yes.
When people listen to music, they've got their headphones on. People are beeping their horns in their cars because they're crossing the road. The last thing they're interested in is the actual design and packaging of the actual music. So it has affected me in a way. That I don't have a great big 12-inch record every time I listen to a piece of music, which is convenient as well, though.
You've seen the difference and it's getting better all the time.
It's immense. To me, it's when I buy a record, it's just taking the record out the sleeve,
yeah,
and putting it on the record
the
player.
experience of it
Is something that I've done since I was 11, or 10. And putting on one side of the record, and that's why I like artwork with information, and I like to know who played what on the songs that I'm listening to. And it's kind of like quite a few of your senses are being employed. It's tactile.
It's so much better sound quality than CDs as well.
Okay.
I mean, CDs, I never really liked CDs when they first came out in the 90s or whatever it was. And we remember cassette players, cassette recorders, little tiny cassettes that we used to record demos on and stuff.
And the most obvious one, I think, back was, when MTV started in like 1982. It's a bit like, people talk about MTV in the same way that people talk about Spotify or, digital music. When MTV started, they chose the video of I'm Out With You as one of their kind of first videos that they were going to play on their station. That the exposure that Modern English got from that was immense and completely and utterly unpredictable. We never saw it coming. And then as a result of that, and the song got played on American radio, and then this lady who was making a film called Valley Girl heard the song on the radio while she was going to a meeting, and ended up using the song I'm Out With You in this film Valley Girl, which became quite
It was a big cult movie in America.
cult film. And so there was like 3 things that happened to us all in the space of about 2 months that we didn't know were going to happen. We just thought that the record would be released, and some people might hear it, some people might enjoy it. We certainly didn't expect it to become such a big song as it still is today.
And there's lots of adverts have used it, things like Hershey bars, chocolate bars, and various other things. Taco Bell, I think, is another one. There's quite a lot. I mean, over the years, it's been used a lot to help us pay our bills, which is great.
Paid for this computer.
Yeah.
That we're talking to you on.
Basically.
There's nothing you and I won't do. Let's stop the world. I'll stop the world and
Well, we've played Mexico City twice now, actually. And the second one we played with the Buzzcocks. We were playing with them. They were headlining and we were sort of guests. And that was a good experience. We went from Mexico to Europe with them as well, Germany and Copenhagen and Stockholm and Malmo and places like that. And then we played our own concert in London just this last weekend. But highlights, blimey.
Mexico City is always a highlight.
Yeah, we want to come south. We want to come further south.
Yeah.
We always seem to stop at Mexico City.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
We're trying to get down further, Lima or Bogota or wherever.
We want to go to South America. I mean, it's like both times we played in Mexico City, the audiences have been absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Their enthusiasm and the noise that they make it's amazing. When you stop playing, it's like the first time it was a bit of a shock to us, but now we know what to expect. We like Mexico.
there's nothing you and I won't do.
On this album,
Energy, really, isn't it?
energy, and also there's some of the messages in the lyrics are slightly different from. In fact, there's a combination of the pastoral and politics that are in you'll hear in many other modern English records. Even on our first album, Mesh and Lace, there's references to countrysides and stuff like that as well. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 is definitely a more powerful, more impactful album.
It's getting really good reviews over Europe and America, so that's unusual for us to get such good reviews. So that hopefully that will trickle down to South America, and we'll get some reviews from there as well.